Hello everyone, how you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day, and today we are here with another PWCC weekly review where I go through the top 100 soccer card items auctioned off this week. We go through the highs and the lows, and there's actually some pretty high sales in here notably, so I'm excited. Hopefully you are too. If you enjoy these videos, make sure to leave a like, lets me know you enjoy them, and I'll keep doing them. And of course, make sure to subscribe, all that fun stuff. But let's go ahead and get right on into it. Production's been upped this week. We do have a nice little graphic here, plugging some different areas as well. I'll have my Discord down there, but I also have others that I hang out in too. Feel free to check it out, all in the description down below. But with that said, let's go ahead and get on into the top 100. So we're going to go kind of quicker through cards I don't necessarily want to talk about because I feel like I spend a lot of time on that when I probably shouldn't. For example, this Erling Haaland. Notably, this goes for 140, while the true rookie goes for 700 to 800. So just to be able to compare there. Iker Casillas PSA 9 Este going for 140. That's actually, I mean, pop 1 of 1. I believe that is true. That is a very nice grade. So I think that that's a reasonable price point if you're a Spain, Madrid, Casillas fan, whatever it is. R9 going for 144 and a 10 from the 2006 set. In the past, I've seen these go a little bit higher, but this is in the realm, typically, 125 to 200 range for a lot of the PSA 10 stars is what I see. To be fair, in this top 100, we only see stuff, typically over $100, so there's some bias there, of course. Top Liga, it says foil Lionel Messi. I don't think there's any text that will tell you, but basically there's a foily version, a non-foily version. I think this is a non-foily version, but they put foil on there. Could be wrong, but 150 for that would be pretty high, assuming that that is not foil. We have a couple numbered Messis here, a Magna out of 49 and a Select Orange out of 149, PSA 9 compared to just an authentic there. Personally, I like the Revolution a bit better, but I'm biased towards that set with Pulisic rookies in there and whatnot. So, 1965 Sicker Verlag Eusebio going for 156 right there. Same sort of set as the Beckenbauer and Muller rookies, and I mean, a very photogenic picture there, certainly from Eusebio too. Pretty early on for him, so fun stuff there. Then in the next row, just some odds and ends, really. A pseudo rookie Ryan Giggs, not really a rookie, but kind of. An earlier Italian legend of sorts, and a PSA 2.5, and a Diego Maradona, pretty early, 1981. I haven't seen this that often. I don't know if that's just because they don't get graded that often or they aren't worth really getting graded too much. Could be a fun sticker. Honestly, don't know a ton about it, and just sort of in-action shots of Maradona are pretty plentiful early on in his career, so it's not my favorite, but anything Maradona early on is nice to me. Here we have a 2006 Este Lionel Messi going for near 200. Next to that, we have a couple recently printed cards. So BGS 10 Topps Now UEFA Champions League Erling Haaland, pristine. So, I mean, a recently graded card. You pay $20 for grading, $5 for the card. You get $200 back if it's a 10. So, big win there. Same going on here with the Lionel Messi Panini Instant. So, I did want to take a look at this just to see where it's been. Apparently, this is a really, really good sale. So, maybe something's up, or maybe someone just got caught in a bidding war. I don't know. That happens sometimes. But someone paid a $190 allegedly for the sale last night, and other ones have been going for, there was one on fixed price for $115 yesterday. So I don't necessarily believe it too much. Realistically, these are around $100 and a 10. And early on, they were, I guess we can go all the way back, but they were closer to $200 to $300. So you can kind of tell as we get there. So just something to be wary of whenever something is print on demand. Typically, the first to market. I mean, that happens all the time. Whenever there's new cards that people care about, first to market in a 10, get a good premium. And then after that, it's a race to the bottom until at that point, then maybe you have an inflection point at some point, but you have to, wait that out and see. So a couple interesting cards to see there. Mixed in with legends from back in the day. We just have modern printed cards that people care about. So it is what it is. 1968 DC Thompson. Here we have a Pele PSA 6. Not the best looking one, but price reflects that, only 200. Next to that, we have an alternative, which is basically a stamp. So I guess I'd probably prefer that given the two. Then we have a 1953 Alfredo Di Stefano facing forward. This is one that you typically find stuck, so going for 200 there. Not the prettiest, but I mean, realistically with vintage, eye appeal does matter, but it's not typically the leading factor, I would say. Then in this row, some more modern. Here we have a Di Maria out of 25 going for $200. Nothing too crazy. I mean, especially, World Cup winning. Everyone loves that narrative. But Di Maria, I mean, potentially man of the match in the finals, and what made it all happen. Kylian Mbappe here with a 2018 Donruss out of 100 in a PSA 9, so pop 1 of 7, none graded higher, so die cut's always tough to grade there. Going for 200, nothing crazy. I feel like back in the day that would have been a good premium, but right now, nothing all too wild. 2019 Erling Haaland Foosball going for 200 there. That feels kind of light. I mean, obviously people hate BGS, but I mean, PSA 10s go for, I don't know, 1,000, 1,300, somewhere up there. And a BGS 9 only going for 200, quite the discount relatively. Here we have an orange PSA 9 of the alternative of the other select that we saw earlier, going for a little bit higher. R9 1999 Mundi Chromo going for 200, pop 1 of 2, just 1 graded higher. So would seem to be condition rare, at least for the moment. So fun one there. Really like the look of that, even though it might not be everyone's cup of tea. Then in this row, we have a bunch of odd and end vintage. 1935 Miazza going for 210 right there. 1950, what I hear to be a pretty rare vintage set, generally speaking. Neto going for 210 there. We'll see quite a few others from the same set here in a bit. And then we have a Pele Idamar in a 1962 PSA 1 going for 216 as well. Typically, when I don't know what to say, I just comment on how I really truly love the look of vintage, because all of these look unique and have their own sort of flair. I feel like in modern, it's just it gets very boring, at least to me. Maybe that's a product of where I've been. Only one that I really bid on tonight that we'll see. I did lose a Cruyff rookie, is what it is. Next to that, we have a 1998 Mundi Chromo Xavi and a PSA 9. So did want to take a look at this. This goes for about the same price as a PSA 8 did. Best offer 200 in February. Yeah, and last year, I mean, there was a PSA 8 for 500, 360. To be fair, I guess 270 back here, but yeah, it's really rough. I guess notably not a centered PSA 9, but realistically still a PSA 9 selling really light for Xavi there. He does have other rookies that you could go after. Maybe people have focused on that a bit more now. Generally speaking, pre-modern suffered pretty heavily, especially the secondary stars, so nothing too far out of the realm of what we've seen. 1970 Daily Sketch Pele in a PSA 7 going for 222. Again, the Cruyff, I lost it. I wasn't really trying too hard for it, but the PWCC Eye Appeal sticker did sort of catch my eye. Sort of surprising to see the Eye Appeal sticker here, because the back, I mean, the back does look pretty nice. The top left, notably, missing a little bit, but the front is really off center. And I've always said, I think the Eye Appeal stickers are just centering. So I guess they've proven me wrong on that one, which is fun. Then in the row above that, we have a 2007 Di Maria PSA 10. Feels pretty strong. I mean, if he's selling at the same price as a rookie Cruyff, now obviously rookie Cruyff, you got different options, I guess. This is a true rookie, but going for the same price as a Di Maria doesn't seem too bad of a sale. You can definitely get like 9s on eBay for pretty cheap, I would say. So, 10 premium coming in clutch there. George Best 1966 PSA 8 going for 234. Then we have a Paolo Rossi 1975 Panini Calciatore sticker in a 6. Did want to look this up just because it's a rookie you don't see too often, or at least I don't, on the PWCC auctions. So last one to sell was a PSA 4 on auction May 4th for 200 almost on eBay. So it seems to be kind of low, but there was also a 7 that went for 610, and generally speaking, it's sort of in line, but I guess that goes to show that if you're on, on every auction all the time and you're looking for deals, you can get them at times. This is off-center. I know people typically like centering a lot on vintage items in particular, so maybe that also plays a role. Here, this was a really low sale of a 1998 Merlin's Stevie G, so we'll take a peek at that here. 252 on that one. Last sale was 400 for, I guess, an SGC 9. Okay, so relatively to the SGC 9, that's not too crazy, honestly. That's actually not a bad sale. But PSA 5 before in December was 156, so a PSA 8 going for 252. Compared to that, very tough last year. PSA 6 for 350, so relative to that, that is very low. But I guess compared to the 9 might have been a deal if you're an SGC guy. Then we have a 1960 Rivera here in a BVG 7 going for 252 next to a football, what is this, Nilo photo football of Puskás there in a PSA 2. Don't think I've ever seen that, I guess. Don't think I've ever seen that. I guess it is pop 1 of 1 none higher, so, maybe not my fault. Maybe newly graded. Didn't go for anything too crazy, but it is later career, so pretty impressive for, I guess, a PSA 2 later career, to be honest. Pedri 2020 auto going for 260. We have a Zidane for 260 as well from 1998 PSA 10. Here, I guess these have come down a little bit, but still, pretty pricey. $270 for a Beckenbauer auto in I guess an auto 10 PSA 6, so pretty low to med grade for the card, but a PSA 10 of the autograph. 1958 Uwe Zähler going for $264 and a BVG 3. This was a pretty high sale. I'm moderately into like vintage German stuff, just because I like the Bundesliga in general. It's the league I'd say I follow the most throughout my soccering days. But yeah, this goes for $264. The last PSA 4 did $348, and that was just a couple months ago. And I mean, BVG's typically looked at as like 1 or 2 grades lower than it says it is. So this is probably, in most people's eyes, a 1 or 2 going for almost the same price as a PSA 4. I guess this is down from the last PSA 4, but generally speaking, not too bad at all. And actually up from, maybe this is the same card selling back in October? Yeah, so 192 to 264. So nice little increase there over what is, close to a year, but not quite. Christian Pulisic Purple, PSA 10. Got a USMNT card in there. Happy to see. 1954 A and B C Puskás there. The most early gettable Puskás for $276 and a 2.5. Then we have a National Treasures Thierry Henry going for $268. A Kubala going for $288. This is alleged to be a rookie. I'm not too into the weeds, but I do think people call it a rookie. PSA 4 going for $288 there, of a pretty legendary player. Here is another of the many that we'll see that I was talking about from the set earlier. Allegedly, this is 1952-53, or at least that's what I saw in the Vintage Discord, so not as early as the slab might indicate. But I do like the PSA has the range if they don't know the exact year, because there's been a lot of times in the past where they'll put the exact year, be wrong, and then, turns out maybe they have to go forward or backward a couple years, and that changes things drastically, so I like that. But nonetheless, Vava for $288. We have an early Miazza. It kind of looks like the Nina's, but yeah, going for $288 there. And a PSA 2, also with the eye appeal, top 30. This was one that I thought, I'd much rather have this than like the Panini Instant Messi from earlier. But at the same time, I look back at the prices back in the day. No one really cared about these. I don't think anyone should really care too much about Panini Instant, but that's just my opinion. This is actually a 2016 out of 25 green Euro one. So this is... I guess not the final, I don't believe. It says Portugal, Wales, 2-0. So this is just from earlier, but still out of 25, kind of cool. 312 there for BGS 9.5. So Romario, PSA 7 going for 312. This is a massive fall. I actually didn't even look it up just because I don't think we ever really look up Romario, but this is really bad, at least compared to what it used to be. So generally speaking, though, I mean, Pop 1 to 3.8 higher doesn't feel terrible. Like, I do feel like Romario is undervalued in a sense that, one of the best strikers of all time and one of the best Brazilians of all time, and doesn't really get looked at like that. I think he's just sort of in that lost sort of collecting era where he's not, recent enough to be remembered. He's not old enough to really be desired, and so I think that's just kind of what happens. He also has an earlier sticker, but from what I've seen, pretty rare. So 1966 Bobby Charlton here going for $324 in a PSA 6. Interesting looking one. Got a good bit of hair there, so that's lovely to see. 1953 Fair. This is the Di Stefano, where it sort of has his head ominously in the middle of the sticker. I've always thought that this is just a funny looking one, but 324, Pop 1 to 3.4 higher. 1 of 1 auto from Ciro Immobile. In the next row, we have a couple vintage smacked in with an Mbappe. So here we have a Kocic. This is a 1950 or 53, like we were talking about earlier, from the pretty rare set. This one is very beaten up, authentic, going for 400. Pop 1 of 1, just 1 higher. So again, showing the true rarity behind something like that. That back is absolutely marred. That is that's fun to look at. Kind of like a vintage painting on the back too. You get a nice little 2 for 1. 2017 Kylian Mbappe Panini Adrenaline. I wanted to look this up just because we don't see it that often, and I thought it was worthwhile. So last sale was 500. This sale is 400. Although fair enough, over the last year, about at the same price. So there are some highs, there are some lows, but generally speaking, that's stayed pretty steady. And Mbappe's in general, I feel like, have dipped a little bit, so that's pretty impressive from that pseudo rookie. 1958 Gazzetta Pele Authentic. Wanted to take a peek at this, and yeah, this is pretty low. I mean, comparatively to the last sale, basically the same price, but there was an Authentic in November of last year for $660, so these are down a little bit, but yeah, I think... yeah, I mean, if we go all the way back, this is basically the lowest these have ever sold for, at least that Card Ladder has tracked. So worth noting there. Yeah, 384 for that one, and 408 for this one this week. So pretty low, but given sort of where they're standing within the hobby realm, it makes sense. I will say we're getting close to the end. Like, we're almost 60 to 70% through the amount of cards in this video, and we're only at the $400 range. So there was a lot more sort of mid-end this week than there was really high-end is the way I'd put it. PSA 8, Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi matchups in a silver. So here we have 430 for that one, and that is relatively down quite a bit. October of last year was 780, so almost cut in half in the last 7-8 months. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, this is something that sort of had its day. Like, this is a card that for, I guess, a good part of last year, the last couple years, I saw, everyone sort of posting it and claiming it to be this sort of, amazing card. I do think it's a great card, right? But at the same time, there are ebbs and flows in terms of what people desire, and so things like that will happen. Then we have Erling Haaland, a Leaf Auto, going for 444. 1965 Franz Beckenbauer going for 444 as well. This is pop 1 of 1, just one higher. So TTT, hard to find unstuck, but this is not necessarily like the best Franz Beckenbauer you can get in the set. It's basically the worst. But the way it's put is he's right here. So he's just hanging out in a picture of many. So, it is what it is. This is actually a pretty good price, though. In terms of if you're the seller, $444 for this one. The last PSA, or I guess SGC one, went for $15. So, in vintage, you really don't see typically a 30x premium between a 1 and a 5. Obviously, there's typically quite the premium, but not that big. Last two, though, did do 132. And before that, we've seen a 3.5 do 70. So it's not out of this world, especially for something that's hard to find in high grade. So then we have a 1932 Bulgaria. This is a Sindelar. So I've been getting in a bit more into vintage. So I just, give it a peek. I know that the Sindelar is basically one of the early gettable ones in a PSA 8. Not something I'm particularly chasing. I don't like the look of it that much. It kind of scares me. But generally speaking, down from 700, this one was 450, but also up from 152 in 2018. I do like that with vintage, you have a bit more of a historical reference point on some things than you do in modern, where there basically is none at times. 2020, here we have a Phil Foden on Card Auto going for 470. Pretty decent price, you would think, for someone that hasn't really done anything hobby relevant. Obviously, I guess, won a Champions League, but did he win it? Obviously, that is the question to be had. 101 from Topps Chrome 2021-22. Nice little rookie, going for 516. Another 101 right there. We'll just keep on moving. Not many Ter Stegen super collectors out there, I'd imagine. This is a Piola from the same set as the Miazza that we saw earlier. This one, SGC 7, so quite a high grade comparatively to all the other ones that we're running in this auction from the same set. And definitely a really nice looking one. Always think that's amazing with the blue and the black. And they also got the jersey match as well, if you want to use that term. PSA 8, Kylian Mbappe going for 540. This is actually quite the premium on the last one. We'll go to 3 months because I just looked at this graph and thought that was relevant. Looking at the last 3 months, it is up 50%. Real dollar growth gone from 360 to 540, as you can see there. So quite the jump, I would say. Obviously, there are peaks and valleys, but this seems like a pretty consistent growth. You can't see the final sale on the right, but just trust me, up here, 540. So pretty decent if you're looking at the Kylian Mbappe stickers. Then we have a 2019 Kylian Mbappe gold die cut out of 10. So really cool card there. Comparatively to the out of 100 earlier, I think this is a pretty good deal. The out of 100 was, a couple hundred. So I think an out of 10 going for 550 isn't anything crazy. Pele Auto, this is a sticker PSA 9 going for 575. Then we have a 1992 Figo going for 630 in a PSA 7. Seen quite a few of these go. This is a sort of a calendar sheet or something along those lines, like a little mini calendar. So I don't know. You can always debate some things in terms of whether PSA should or should not grade them, but this is Panini license, so it does have that going for it. This row, quite a lot going on. So first off, we have a Stoichkov there. I'm going to look that up. 660 on the Stoichkov. The last one was 870. So relatively to a few months back, down a little bit, but not a disgusting drop by any means. Comparatively, this Ronaldo has had a disgusting drop. So that is what 690 there for a 5. If we go and give that a peek, 690 for a 5. But these have sort of consistently kept dropping at this point. I mean, 690, 720, 1200. Scroll back a little further, 2,000. I mean, it's just been a consistent fall, and they feel like they're on auction every week. I mean, there was one this week, or was it last week? I think there was one recently on Golden in basically the same grade. There's going to be another one that you'll see later in this auction in a better grade. So that's just what happens whenever you just get plastered with endless auctions of them. Don't know if there's just tons of sheets available, or, you know, if something more nefarious is occurring. It's hard to really know because of the way PSA and some of the grading companies have acted lately, but it is what it is. This one I was pretty impressed with. I mean, you know, I do like the set. 1985 Panini Calciatore, obviously, at Maldini, Baggio, so it's a big set. And Maradona being in that, I've always thought, like, man, you know, I like the Maradonas within the 85 constellation because, you know, the relevant sets, and Maradona is, I think, the most relevant player in the set. So, but this was huge. I mean, 750 for PSA. It says pop 1 of 2. To be fair, if you look at Baggio and Maldini, their pops are closer to, I think, 10 to 20. So realistically, if, you know, Maradona got graded at the same clip as the others, I think this pop would grow quite a bit, and it might after seeing a sale like this. But yeah, this slab actually has like the weird little, I guess, sort of holders on the side that PSA used to try to do. I don't see that very often at all, so that's interesting. I don't know if people don't grade this that much or what it is, but basically, I mean, this is the highest ever sale, and there's not really... Okay, there was an SGC 8 that sold for $336 in November, so relatively, that seems like a pretty fair price. Maybe I just wasn't as much in the know. Okay, in December, I guess an 8 did go for $222, so maybe that's a pretty decent price comparatively. But yeah, you don't see a lot of those sell, so that's fun. Maybe in the future we will see more. Now we have a Netfinders Cristiano Ronaldo. I think I did pull that up. Yeah, this one sells for $840. Comparatively in the past, in a BGS, I guess it's hard to compare. There's a PSA 8.5 here, so I'm guessing it's the same 8.5. So yeah, it was potentially bought in March of 2021 for $1850 and sold for $840, down 50%, maybe 60%. Not great, but at the same time, I mean, you know, you probably would have been down way worse from 2021 if you bought maybe like a key rookie instead of this Netfinder, so it could be a win. Then we have a Scafino PSA 2 from the 1950 through 53 set that we've been seeing throughout this auction. PSA 2 rookie going for $840 there. Seems like all these pictures, they're like looking very heavily away from the photo. I don't know if I like that as much, but obviously, you know, in this realm of basically what seems to be true rarity, you know, beggars can't be choosers, so it is what it is. 2018 Cristiano Ronaldo Signatures World Cup sticker auto going for $930. Above that, we have a Billy Meredith here in a PSA 6 going for $960. Pop 1 of 8, 6 rated higher, so a relatively plentiful Meredith, it would seem, at least relative to... you know, Billy Meredith, which is sort of its own world entirely. Here we have a Raymond Kopa PSA 1 going for $1260 there. I think that is the highest selling of the set here, so PSA pop 1 of 2, none higher. Again, just showing the absolute true rarity. Does the back look the same as... No, so this back is much cleaner than the one we saw earlier. That actually looks pretty nice, not gonna lie. So, really fun sticker there, and excited to be able to see basically that a lot of the main stars, it would seem, in that set being sold off tonight. Here we have a 2022 Leaf Auto, Classic, Erling Haaland, Cristiano Ronaldo, Pele, and then Phil Foden, all on the same card. For all of you Pele, Ronaldo, Haaland, and Phil Foden collectors. There's probably some, honestly, so maybe that hits a niche. Then we have 2017 Topps Chrome Purple PSA 9 Mbappe going for $1,400. We saw a 10 go for about $3,000 last week, so those 10s actually seem like a decent deal, only going for double what a 9 goes for. This Lionel Messi, love the Treble 2018 set. Personally, the autos, I think they're great, but the one thing that does, you know, sort of ruin it, Lionel Messi, at least this is sort of the coat hanger auto that you don't want to see. At least that's what everyone says, because that's not typically how Messi signs, so they think someone else did it, and so this is, you know, sort of questionable auto, I would say. If not a questionable auto, I would think a really, really cool card, potentially sticker, depending on how you want to clarify it. Then we have 2004 Monday Chromo Top Liga going for $1620 there. I actually thought that this would have been a really good sale, but turns out not really. Last sale, this was a foil, sold for $3,000 on fixed price, so you got to distinguish between the two. But I guess, yeah, last non-foil did $2,100, so down a bit from there. But I guess the one before that did $1,750, so, and that was foil, and that was in March, so I don't know. I mean, relatively this year, it seems like they've done really, really well. I guess when you look back at, all-time highs, obviously it's not going to be great, but this is a Messi rookie that doesn't seem to come up a ton, so has, I guess, sort of gained some steam in that regard, in the sense that they just don't sell all the time, especially in high grade. 9s are pretty hard, 10s are practically impossible. So really cool to see that there. I do think this is sort of like the light version. I don't know what happens, but if you look at these two cards, you can just tell, like, one is just crispy, clean, yellow and black, and this one looks like it's been laying in the sun. But this happens a lot for some reason. On this particular issue, I've seen it more than on anything else, so I think it's just variations. But yeah, I mean, this is pretty early graded, so I don't think anything nefarious, especially since those Messis weren't worth a ton, so no one really cared to fake them, I would say. 1965 Zicker Verlang of Jared Muller, going for 1620 there. We've seen a couple of these sell the last few months, between him and Beckenbauer, that is, in pretty high grade, but 1620 there, not my favorite, but I do think just generally the look doesn't seem too bad, but just the item itself, I'm not a huge fan of. Then we have a Pele Aquarella PSA 2 going for 1700. Didn't take a look at that because we've been looking at Aquarellas a lot lately, so I wanted to take a look at this instead. 1958 Monty Gum Footballers Pele Red Ace of Clubs SGC 3.5 with an eye appeal sticker going for 1770. I looked at this, and I mean, maybe I'm out of the loop. To be honest, I don't collect early Peles for the most part. If I did, I'd be very particular, and I don't think I'd want a playing card. But I mean, comparatively, it seemed like a pretty decent price. I mean, 2 BVG here, probably the same one potentially, but whatever. Sold twice, so 3,000, 6,000. I mean, I don't know. Basically, I was scrolling back through here, and this is more so what I wanted to look at. So 2022, I mean, this is a PSA 1. Keep in mind, none of these that I'm seeing right here have, like, the ace on the side. So I'm guessing the ace is sort of like, I guess less printed, it would seem, at least just by looking at all these auctions, right? So like an ace would seem pretty cool, just by me looking at these. And these are going for thousands upon thousands, like in a 2 and a 1 and a so I mean, 3.5 with an ace. Listen, I don't know much in particular about the set, but that does seem pretty cool. Maybe I'm totally missing on something here, and like the aces were printed a year later, but they don't distinguish that, or if they're the same year, that seems really, really cool to me, and that seems like a great buy. But maybe I don't know something, and that would be reasonable as well. I did say earlier that the Copa was the highest. I lied. So, of course, if you have Puskás, especially early Puskás, that's going to do good numbers. Not crazy high comparatively to what I would have thought maybe a Puskás could go for in that same set. But 1860 there, Pop 104, just one graded higher. So, as you can tell, that is the most graded in the set by far. All the other ones were like Pop 1 of 1 or Pop 1 of 1, 1 graded higher. I mean, this is, Pop 1 of 4 in total that we're seeing, or 1 of 5. So yeah, really cool there. Love the background color too, the Hungary flag. I mean, that's just beautiful. Next to that, you have a PSA 3 Messi 71 Bis. So, iconic in and of its own way. Here, this was a big sale, so I wanted to take a peek just because it felt big. Last PSA 3 went for 1,000. This one goes for 1,860. Don't know what that is. I mean, that's pretty huge. Basically going back to, I guess, prices pre-World Cup, which isn't, I guess, that big of a deal. Realistically, I guess PSA 3 is holding at 2,000. I just feel like it's pretty impressive when you consider that, I mean, BGS, like mid-grades go for probably 2,000 to 3,000. And even PSA and mid-grades go for, only maybe double, maybe 3 times the price. So I don't know. I feel like the low-grade Messis really hold up the best out of any of them. And that's something that if you would have said that back during the whole, everyone's got to consolidate into the highest grades, the rarest things. If you would have said that, people probably would have laughed at you. But realistically, like, low grades held up really, really well. And I think it's just because, it's a collector grade. It's a grade people aren't trying to go flip. Like, if you're buying a 3, your intent probably isn't just to sell it next week. If you're buying a 9, it probably is. And so that's where the factors are at play. 1963 Eusebio Blue going for 2,000 there. Not the most rare, but obviously, I mean, BVG 7 is a very, very high grade, so that is going to command a premium. Here, out of 150 Holland from the Topps Chrome, this is Champions League Blue Refractor going for 2,250. Not my favorite. I really don't like the look of the Topps Chromes once they go to this sort of just small smidgen of border that's blue. I really like the full card being blue, and I think that's what really fuels 2017 Topps Chrome. This I don't really like to look at all. PSA 9, Roberto Carlos here going for 3,500. Felt high, but actually, I mean, it's about where it's been at. 39.60, 33.60. So surprised to see 3 of these. I think it says over here it's like pop what, 1 of 5, and 3 of them have been graded, and well, 3 of them have been sold in the last couple months. So yeah, I mean, but all going for the same price, and actually up from 16.75 on eBay in May. So I mean, that's sort of really impressive. You would think seeing a few high grades of someone like Roberto Carlos hit the market consistently would sort of, you know, keep ratcheting down the price, but it hasn't. So that's something to keep an eye on. Here we have a Nobility. I think, what is that? That's out of 10. It doesn't say jersey number. Going for 37.20. Fun looking card. I really do like the eye appeal of it. We saw a Nobility Gold of Ronaldo recently. I like that one, but 4,000, I mean, that's a really big price. So obviously, you know, people are paying for that out of 10. 2016 Kylian Mbappe sticker, PSA 10 going for 4,000. Don't have that pulled up just because we've been looking at the stickers and whatnot, but 4,000 is obviously low compared to the all-time highs, but not, you know, anything to scoff at, obviously. I mean, a PSA 10 modern sticker going for what is, you know, up here with some of the best and most iconic cards within soccer. It's pretty impressive if you ask me. Here we have a Pele Tupanamba PSA 2 with an eye appeal going for 4,000 there. Pretty low comparatively to the past, but when PSA changes the cert on you and, you know, the year is thought to be later than it used to be, that's going to happen. BGS 8, 43.20 there for a 71 bis. Not too bad, around where they've been going. And then the top 3. So these were pretty big sales, I will say. So we have 2 bigger sales than usually we see any week. So we do have the 1994 Deportivo Ronaldo here, and a PSA 8 going for 8,700. So just doing some quick math, I mean, the PSA 5 went for like 700. Typically what I do is I just double it if you're going up a grade. I think that's giving. Usually I don't think it's a double if you're going up a grade in the mid grades, but if you go from a 5 to 6, that'd be 1,400, 6 to 7, that'd be 2,800, 7 and 8, you know, 5,600. So I think this is pretty high, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, 8,700, it's pop 1 of 9, 1 higher, so you could argue that, you know, it's about as good as you're gonna get. They are hand cut though, and typically hand cut stuff, people don't want to pay a huge premium for condition grades, and this is sort of an example of it. We can, I guess, comparatively talk about it. A Pele Swedish record here goes for, what? A PSA 9 goes for 13,000 almost. Now a PSA 1 of this would go for, you know, 500 to 1,000. A PSA 5 of this goes for, you know, about 1,000. So I guess you can compare that however you want to and sort of figure that out. It depends how you want to classify them, though. I mean, this is a magazine cutout. This is sort of a cutout from a sheet that's more so meant to be collected, but this is also meant to be collected. So it's sort of all this enigma of where you want to land with it. But 8,700, comparatively to past sales, down a little bit. So, I mean, the all-time was 3,800. But recently, I mean, most of the sales have been happening within the, I guess, what is this? About $10,000 range. Some PSA 6s even getting up here last year, so I guess that is of note, but not too far of a drop there for PSA 8. Then we have the record PSA 9 going for near 1,300. Some people talked about in the vintage Discord that maybe this was a you know, a crossover collector. I would tend to think probably the case. Typically Pele just gets a massive premium, and some Pele issues it probably shouldn't. Again, we've talked about this. This is a magazine cutout, so it's not as hard to get a good grade in this. I mean, it's pop 1 of 4, none higher, but there are tons of mid and high grades of this Pele. To be honest, could even be a set collector or someone going after the Pele registry. I know people, you know, sort of hint that that exists, and I would imagine it does. Here we have a 9 selling in the past for 18,000, so I guess comparatively to the all-time high, that's only down 33%, which is pretty impressive for something like the record, which, you know, some of the lower grades I would say have been probably slaughtered during that same time frame. The PSA 9s held up really well. In the past, you've seen even dual panels sell for near the same price. So that is a really impressive sale, I would say, especially in the market where we're at now. Going for 1,260 there. Not to say it's a bad sale by any means or a bad purchase. I think, you know, high grade Pele, early stuff, how can you really go wrong? You know, it's not best to say how can you go wrong, but like, if you think soccer is going to succeed, early Pele stuff probably will too. And then we finish it off with the granddaddy of them all, which is ultra modern color. You know, gotta love it. 2019 Topps Chrome Bundesliga Orange Refractor Erling Haaland PSA 10, 32,400. So I mean, quite the premium there for the out of 25. But that is the way it goes. PSA Pop 105. So we'll look at past sales since that's really all we can go off of. I mean, in reality, you could have like the top 10 items here. You could have this. And, some people do choose the orange. So more power to them. We'll look through it and sort of see where it's at. Not a great sale, to be honest. So this is the only one that at least Cardlad has at a high dollar amount. Maybe there was one in the past when it wasn't worth that much. I don't know. But PSA 10, 32,400. The last PSA 9, or I guess the highest PSA 9 ever, which was in March of this year, went for 18,000. So paying less than double for a PSA 10 seems like I guess a steal, if you want to call it that. Or maybe this person, overpaid a little bit. Depends how you want to look at it. But relatively, the last couple have sold for 18,000, 16,000, 16,000. So, I mean, it feels a little light compared to what it could have been. But at the same time, hard to tell what a PSA 10 goes for when you don't have them really selling that often and testing the market. So, really, really interesting to see there. I think it's the only time Hollins ever led the PWCC Weekly that we've done. I don't think I've put him in the thumbnail. Maybe I'm wrong, but at least that is the biggest sale that I think we've seen in a weekly to date. So that was a lot of fun. Generally speaking, a lot of big hitters at the top, but the middle area was lacking a little bit. I felt like we went from 300 to like 3,000 pretty quickly. So that was also notable. But that's going to be it for this week. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, again, make sure to leave a like. If you want to see more videos like this as soon as I go live, make sure to subscribe. But with that said, hopefully you have a wonderful day, and peace.